Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for today's edition of Real Life PPC, where we combine pop culture with PPC.
All the best things.
Exactly. Entertaining and knowledge all in one.
Well, we hope it's entertaining.
That we do. So I am Lauren Rosner.
I'm Rachel Law.
And in this episode of Real Life PPC, we are going to go through some tools to save your account from the upside down.
What's the upside down?
That's right. Let's go on and see.
Uh-oh.
We have the upside down. For those of you who are not Stranger Things fans, do not worry. You will definitely have some things that you'll be able to take away from this. But for those of you who are fans of the most epic, awesome Netflix series, we do hope you enjoy some of our little things that we have in here.
We sprinkled some things in there.
A little sprinkle.
We're going to talk about some strange things today that can happen in your account.
And what to do. And so here's us.
This is us.
Yeah.
If you couldn't tell by our photos and our faces here.
So I'm a senior project manager here at Hannafin Marketing, and we've both been here 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years this August, past August. So.
We were training buddies when we first started together.
Yeah, and now look at us.
Look at us.
Doing webinars together.
Doing the PPCs.
It's fantastic.
And I'm a senior account analyst. I work on the nerdy analytical things. I make a lot of tools, do a lot of Excel stuff.
Yeah.
Things that are fun.
And we both kind of work and collaborate together on a lot of things that we're going to talk about today. And before we get into that, though, oh, look, here we are. We're already turning into characters of Stranger Things.
It's going to happen slowly. We're going to morph into them. You won't notice.
So who is Hannafin? If you are joining us for the first time, here is a little bit about Hannafin and who we are and what we do. We do focus on solutions for PPC across a variety of businesses and industries. Here is just a look at just a small portion of the industries that we cover. And if you would like to follow along with us today,
tweet at us.
Join the conversation.
Use the hashtag ThinkPPC in your Twitter tweets. You can tag us. You can tag Hannafin.
Yep, we will respond. We will interact, and yeah, it'll be good times. So let's get started. So
how do I know?
How do you?
I've got an account. What's this upside down?
So it can kind of happen in two different ways, right? Mm-hmm. It can totally, you wake up one morning, you get into your account, and things have just totally flipped. Ooh. Awful.
It's giving me anxiety just thinking about that.
Exactly. Or it can happen kind of like over time. It's slow, gradual things that like you just don't really notice at first, and maybe a couple weeks go by and things aren't picking back up, and sometimes it's even slower. And maybe not until you look at a month view, month over month, quarter over quarter, that you see that something's just not quite right. So today we're going to talk about some tools that we've developed here at Hannafin, some tricks that up our sleeves that we really kind of go in and look at to see like what's actually going on. And so let's talk about first when your account is totally flipped upside down.
Oh, look at that monster down there. Is that the monster that's going to eat your account?
Pretty much. That's kind of what it feels like. I think that's the anxiety.
The anxiety monster.
That comes when you get into your account and you just say, what has happened?
That pit in your stomach that happens.
Exactly.
We've all been there. It's okay.
Exactly.
We're gonna get there.
Exactly. So
Mr. Skeleton here.
Yeah. So Rachel, let me ask you.
Yes.
Do people come to you and say, something happens in my account and I don't know what?
All the time.
Rachel, as an account analyst, can you help me?
Yep.
And did they give you any idea of where to look?
No.
Yeah.
Usually not. Sometimes
Right.
They'll say, I think this is what happened. A lot of times it's, I don't know, like conversions just dropped off. I don't know.
That's a huge one, right?
It's a huge thing, and it's really easy to get overwhelmed by it, right? Because you're stressed out already because performance is bad and you're held accountable for that performance. But you don't know where to look, and you don't know how to troubleshoot that problem.
Right. So, in this example that we're kind of going to go through here, this is kind of over, the course of 60 days, and it's just kind of like, things just like, no, they're not right. fell off and I can't get them back up, and you know, what's going on with conversions. So we kind of go on to the next here. So we developed a date range comparison tool, and you might be thinking, well, both Google and Bing have a little tiny toggle in your date selector where you can say compare to. Why would I need an extra tool in order to do what's already there? So this kind of was born of being able to look at so many different things on a really granular level to be able to kind of see what's what. So, you know, in the interface, you can look at your campaigns, week over week, day over day, you know, whatever the case may be, comparing. You can look at ads, you can look at keywords, but this tool here, we're going to actually look at a number of different things all at the same time, which then allows you to be able to kind of like compare and look at like how the metrics are playing off of each other.
Yeah, I don't want to spend an hour navigating through the interface. It's like, okay, now I'm going to look at ads. Now I have to navigate over here to look at whatever.
Right.
That's annoying.
Right.
Let's not do that.
And especially if you kind of like go from the top down, if you say, okay, which campaign is off? And then you go, okay, which ad group is off? Is it a specific keyword? Is it an ad? Is it a landing page? Like what, how do you like, you know, kind of going from the top down? And what I really love about this tool is that it kind of all does it for you if you want to go ahead here. So in this example, you know, looking at a date range of when performance was actually good versus when things kind of fell off. And, you know, it gives you an overall performance of what's going on here. And if you notice, like, we've lost 72% of our conversions.
Ouch.
And, you know, this client in particular, it's not a seasonality issue. It's not that, you know, now all of a sudden they're out of season. You know,
I'm glad you brought up seasonality, because that's something that people forget, especially if you're asked to look at an account or if you're onboarding a new account and you're not familiar with their seasonality, then it might look super bad, but it could be completely normal.
Right.
So don't forget to check your seasonality, look year over year, ask the client, talk about the industry to make sure it's not seasonal.
So in this case here, it's not seasonality. And if you even look, you know, we've increased our clicks, we've increased our impressions. You know, things seem to be like going in the right direction as far as like what we're doing and the things that we're doing in the account is that conversions have just dropped. And then you go, why? So this tool that we've developed here, if you go on to the next slide here, we're going to look at keywords. So you can kind of have a really broad view of the keywords that were performing and what they did, and then like how they compared to how they're doing, you know, now. So like obviously everything's down across the board. There's quite a bit. You know, there's not just one particular keyword that's dropped off. So it's not just one keyword that's suffering here. It's kind of it's a lot, right?
Is this where you start panicking? Or not yet? Are we already in panic mode?
We're already in panic mode at this time, you know, because it's just like, what's going on? Like, what did I miss? You know, is it bids? What's going on here? So, I mean, go on to the next here, and you can start even look at like, okay, is something going on with mobile? Like, is that, you know, are we getting so many more impressions or clicks in mobile that's just dragging performance down? No, not, you know, not in this case. But once again, this allows you to kind of see these different segments of performance side by side in this tool. Let's go on to the next here.
There we go. I think we skipped some.
There we go.
Is this going?
Yep, there we go.
Here we go.
Slow delay on that. There we go. So in this case, like, this is actually looking at our conversion types, and I love this because that's not always easily accessible in the user interfaces to get to your conversion types and to actually see what's going on there. And when we looked at this, we see that, like, you know, conversions are, you know, down once again across the board, but there's a big drop off, 915 conversions from a specific conversion type to only 202. Huge drop off, and everything else has dropped off as well. But for this client, it was a particular thing. It was just that they changed the way that they were counting conversions.
Yeah, and that's also another big thing to check on when you're looking at an account you're not familiar with when you're onboarding. So make sure you actually look at what those conversion types are, because they might have it set up incorrectly where they're counting, you know, a homepage view as a conversion. Like we've seen that so many times. Or they changed the tags on the website and they accidentally put the conversion tag on every page. So that can make things blow up too. So this is definitely something you want to be checking.
Right. Or, I mean, it didn't happen in this case, but it's happened before where they, you know, make a change to the website and the conversion tag falls off.
Yep.
In that case, typically you see everything go from, you know, performance to 0.
You said.
Yes, which is a huge clear indicator. But this was subtle enough that we were able to identify, like, okay, something's going on with like how, you know, we're tracking these conversions, and gave us a starting place at least.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the biggest thing is when you develop a tool like this, is to not solve the problems for you, but get you well on the path
Totally.
to making things happen, which kind of leads me to our next point, is that, you know, navigating, like what do you do? How do you get through, through everything? So, you know, when you pull those levers, like how do you really know what's being affected in your account?
Totally. And it's so easy to sort of lose track of that, and you get so overwhelmed. How do I color this big map as they did on Stranger Things? You know, you only see the little pieces, like each page is one piece of it, but you have to step back and look at the big room size map.
Yeah, exactly.
So that goes right into this slide, which we did not develop this. I'm not taking credit. That link there is attributed. That's where we got this. But I just love this visual so much. So these are causal factors. So this is like a little tree of everything that affects other metrics. So starting at the top, we have high-level return on ad spend. And most of the time, I'm guessing if you have an e-commerce client, return on ad spend is your goal. That's what you're aiming towards. But when you start to look down at all the things that affect your return on ad spend, so it's not only your spend, your revenue, and your clicks, things like that. All these things in green here on this map, these are the things that we can control. So this is our like targeting, our devices, our bids, keywords. And then in yellow here, we have factors controlled by the advertiser. So this is their website, their offerings, their unique selling proposition. And then factors that we don't control at all, like weather, seasonality, things that you can't do anything about. So I think this is something that everyone should go back and look at least every once in a while to remind themselves. And if you have something going crazy in your account and you can't figure out why, maybe it's one of these things. Maybe they changed their offerings. Maybe their top selling product isn't even on the site anymore.
Right.
So
we don't do PPC and avoid. That's the biggest thing.
Yes.
You know, we don't do what we do and avoid. There's always going to be something that is affecting everything. That's why, like, when you make projections of, you know, things, it doesn't always pan out the way you always want it to, because there's something little going on in the background.
There are so many things. Stop looking at the leaves on the trees. Start looking at the forest.
Nicely put.
So based on this sort of tree diagram, we developed another tool in Google Sheets we call it the PPC Scrutineer because it scrutinizes your campaigns. It's a fun name. So this is an overview of what it spits out, and this is a lot, right? Like there's a lot of metrics on here. This is just meant to be like a starting point, like, okay, what's the overall state? Like what has happened, what has shifted? And then, but we're only going to focus on these highlighted in yellow here because this is what we really care about: conversions, revenue. So we see in this particular example, our conversion rate and our conversions have dropped 18%. Our total revenue is down. It's like, what's going on? And so the tool takes that tree model. Tree, what is this called? Flowchart? Flowchart.
Flowchart.
Okay. Yeah. And so at the top in that yellow cell, you choose the metric that you want to dive into. And then this whole thing updates and shows you what changes happened in each of those different areas. So here we see that our conversions are down while our conversion rate is down. But there's not much that goes into that we can directly see in the interface. So that's where we have to go back to this model and look at these other things: value prop, you know, messaging, all those different things, the website. And I like to remind people, if you do see a drop in conversion rate, check your website, check analytics, check your site speed, ask the client if anything has changed. Sometimes they will change something and like they change the form and conversion rate tanks because like the page looks terrible, or now it won't load on certain browsers.
Right.
So there are so many things that can impact your conversion rate. So double check. Analytics is your friend, and friends don't lie.
Friends do not lie. I think that's really, good to remember. And if you're working on an in-house team, obviously you have much more insight into kind of what your team's doing, your web development team, things like that. If you are on an agency side, or if you're, doing the work yourself and, farming out anything that has to do with the website, sometimes, even adding another field on a form, which you think is like, oh, I didn't ask for a phone number before, and now I'm making that a required field.
But I don't want to give you my phone number.
It's huge. People, that's, it may actually benefit you on one hand, because it actually may be qualifying your leads a little better, because people who are actually serious might be more willing to give you that phone number, but a lot of times it's going to maybe stifle the flow of conversion. So it's something to keep in mind that when you do see that, check analytics, see what's going on, and ask those questions of, did anything change on the website? That's huge.
Yeah, and I think two things. Since you mentioned sort of pre-qualifying the user, make sure you're looking at lead quality too. So like your conversions might be way down, but they might be awesome leads that convert to a paying member or user at a much higher rate. So check that. And if you're suffering sort of a slow burn decline, or like slowly things have been dropping off, and you think something may have changed on the website, but you're not really sure, you can always use the Wayback Machine to look at like what the website looked like last year. And you can actually look, it shows you the actual page.
Yeah.
So you can do a comparison. Also, it's just fun to look at. Like sometimes I look at the Hannafin website from back in the day. It's amazing.
It is good stuff.
So you could kill some time on there too.
It is a good tool to have. But again, analytics, 100% is your friend. There's a lot of good information in that, and I'm sure that we will cover that. We could cover that in like 10 webinars.
I could talk about that all day.
There's so much stuff in analytics, but it's one of those places that when you know where to look, analytics is going to help you solve that problem.
Yeah, take the time to learn analytics and like really get comfortable with all the reports that are in there, because it's like a gold mine. Nuggets of wisdom.
Right. So once you know, like, hey, I need to look at conversion rate, and Google Analytics is going to be like,
yeah, totally.
It's going to give you a leg up on how to get back on track real quick.
So I did want to go back to this. Don't forget about these other metrics. Like we just focused a lot on conversion rate, but you'll notice here that our click-through rate also tanked, down 21%. And average position is up. So don't ignore that. That's definitely an important metric to look at. So just remember, look at the whole flow chart, and don't just zone in on one thing. I mean, it might just be one thing that's responsible, but there's so many things that affect your PPC campaigns and your performance that you just have to look into all these different things.
And, sometimes maybe it's not even that one thing is like pulling everything down. It could be a combination of a little bit here, a little bit here,
sprinkled.
Yeah. And so, those are those kind of like those slow burn things that like just over time, things just kind of start to trend down, and it's not a huge drop off that you're going to see. And so using a tool like this will kind of help you focus your attention on what are the little changes. And I really like looking over the last 30 days compared to previous. It's just kind of a nice snapshot. Once again, don't start looking at day over day.
Please don't.
I even hesitate like week over week. It's just too narrow of a view.
Unless it's significant. Like, like if your campaign completely like shut off last 7 compared to previous, then okay, you can look at weekly. But for big things like this, Speaking of slow burn,
oh my gosh,
things that can happen slowly over time.
Let's talk about quality score.
Let's talk about quality score. This GIF is not Stranger Things themed.
But it's really good.
But it's just so good. Look at him creeping back there.
Yeah.
I just want to watch it all day.
Rachel.
Yes.
Do you know how I feel about quality score?
I think I do. But I think you're going to tell me.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So Quality score. Here's my thing on it. It's great. It's fantastic. If you spend your time focusing on quality score, you're going to be chasing that rabbit down that hole over and over and over again. A couple of years ago, I was working on an account, and there were some keywords that just had horrible quality score.
Oh, they were bad.
Yeah.
Crummy.
Really, really awful. We set up a script on a daily basis. I would monitor
every day.
It would send me an email with how things have changed, day over day. And I chased that quality score so hard. And I would make changes, and I pulled these keywords out into their own ad groups, and I wrote very, very specific ads.
You gave them lots of tender love and care.
I did specific landing pages for them. I reworked and worked and worked and worked. And guess what? It really didn't matter that much.
Not one little iota.
I mean, it would change. The thing is, it would change. It would be all over the place all the time. And the thing is that like we know just a very just minor piece of what goes into quality score because we are not Google. And so I don't even think Google knows. The Google employees, I doubt that they know.
It's kind of like the KFC secret blend of spices.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Where I think only one person knows that recipe, right?
Right.
Or it's like bits of the recipe are known by like 4 people, but there's not one person that knows all of it.
Right. It's
I
something
think
like that.
same applies to quality score. And my brain does.
I like that. So
you can have crappy, I was about to swear on accident. You can have crappy quality score and great performance. Like your performance could be fine.
That's true.
So like don't chase your tail.
Right. But don't ignore it totally either. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about here is that like you don't need to chase your tail and try to figure out and just like chase that one number that you think is going to be the magic number that's going to solve all your problems. Yes. But it is something, I mean, you do want your
a good quality
consumer
yeah.
to have a good experience. And
exactly.
I think that is like the meat of what quality score is.
Yeah, I think you optimize your user experience and your quality score will follow. Exactly. And that's just like best practice of running a good campaign and running good PPC ads. That's what it's all about, right? You don't want your user to be turned off by your brand.
Right. So stop trying to make your competitor keywords have perfect quality score. That's not going to happen.
Nope.
But there are some things that, and this tool will actually help you identify where you can make an impact. And I think that's the biggest thing is to kind of divide and conquer. So like you're not trying to do everything for every little keyword, every single ad, but where can we actually get to the meat of things? And
Absolutely.
I'll let you take it away from here.
So we kind of talked about this, how you were tracking quality score every day.
Yeah, it was fun.
So we don't recommend that you do that. But we do have a quality score tool that we have developed that does track it more on a monthly basis, right? So you can see, like, for example, so if I were to show you this and say, what kind of keywords would you guess would have a dip in these quality scores? Like maybe a competitor campaign, non-brand?
Probably like a non-brand and maybe something that's, like high user intent maybe, who knows, just like very specific, kind of like something's changed maybe with your landing page or something like that. But
this is a branded campaign.
That's surprising.
Right? Our friend Mr. Skelly here is also very confused.
Yeah.
Because usually with a branded campaign, your quality scores typically don't go down. Like they'll usually hover and stay pretty consistent at a pretty high quality score because it's your brand, it's your landing page, your ad experience, it all should be very well tied together.
Right.
So what happened? So we look at our creative quality score, which is your ad relevance for this campaign. And I was very surprised to see 71% as only average and a full 9% is below average. Just a little perplexing.
That's a lot. I mean,
yeah.
Once again, it's your brand. You should know your brand. You should speak about your brand.
Yeah.
It should have that, people should be what am I trying to say? Relating to it.
Yes.
If they're searching for your brand, they should
know you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, at least familiar.
Right.
Yeah. you should have a good chunk of above average here, which isn't the case. And the other two quality score factors that we can see, I didn't include here because they were all pretty much above average. So this was the main sticking point for this campaign.
Right.
And so what our tool does here is it takes your ad groups and it counts up the number of keywords that are below average or average for that particular quality score factor. And it kind of puts together this score, what we call gains. So your click-through rate gains, your ad copy gains, this means how much more can you get from this keyword, how much can you improve your quality score by changing your ad copy or changing your landing page. You get it, right? So here, all of these were ad relevance. So really for these branded campaigns, we would recommend going in and really fine-tuning those ads. I looked at this campaign and they were running a lot of really generic branded ads. They weren't stellar. They still had some like non-ETA, like very old ads in there that just haven't been refreshed in a really long time. Something else that can impact this is they have some regular broad keywords, which can, depending on what your brand name is,
it's very true,
can pull in some non-branded traffic, meaning that they weren't intending to search for your brand.
Right.
So I think that was a big factor here too. Lots of regular broad keywords. We just onboarded this account, so we'll probably end up cleaning those up and refreshing the ad copy. So this just gives us a good starting point. Like, okay, our ad relevance is killing us. Like, what can we do?
Right. And this, like, what I love about this tool is it's giving you priority. It's like, where can you make the biggest impact? Because, you know, once again, you saw all the different things that go into managing a PPC campaign. There's a lot of different levers you can pull. And, you know, you're going to go crazy if you have more than one account and more than one client that you're working on and trying to do everything all at once. And so this gives you a great starting point. You know, hey, like, you know, I don't need to run around in circles with quality score, but I do know that I can make an impact. And you should see an improvement. I mean, like ad copy is one of those things that, to me, for me, someone who likes words, is really easy to go in there and refresh some ad copy. You know, use your landing pages to pull in ideas for, you know, what to say in your ad copy, but you know, stay true to the brands, try some new things, shake some things up. You know, with everything that's kind of in the past year that's happened with ad copy, so much has changed in the world of ad copy and our search campaigns and that we can do. And so it's really easy to get a leg up and make good impact on your quality score. And this is a great way to be able to narrow down where you should start. Yeah.
And if you have a client or a boss that loves to see this kind of stuff, this is a great report to just run every now and then. And it's got some nice graphs on it, which we didn't show all of them here, but
yeah, really, it's super helpful.
Good reporting.
Do some like screen grabs and be able to kind of show off what's going on and can kind of give that bird's eye view to everything.
So I wanted to stick this in here because I think this is something that we tend to forget about, or it's like the last ditch, like we've checked everything.
What is this? I don't think I've ever seen this screen before. I'm kidding.
Okay, I was like, oh my God, really?
5 years, no.
5 years, ladies and gentlemen. Never looked at change history.
Oh boy, yeah.
In case you viewers at home are not familiar and haven't seen this, this is the change history screen in the Google Ads interface. I almost said AdWords, RIP.
Did I already say that? I probably said AdWords about 5
Maybe.
times already.
We haven't adjusted yet. Google Ads. What I really love about the new UI is that at the top here, you can filter by different types of changes very easily. So for this example that we've been talking through, we saw that quality score start to tank. This is where we would go in and look at the change history, navigate to ad changes, and look at what ads have been paused off and what ads have been implemented. So check your change history pretty early in your investigation of like troubleshooting, because many times you'll pop in there and immediately see what happened. Like someone paused something, someone changed a bid. So make this one of your first stops when you're troubleshooting.
Definitely. Super helpful.
Oh, it's changing into a big ugly monster. Because that will happen if a little change happens and you don't catch it, and then all of a sudden it's this big problem because you didn't catch the change.
Once again, small things affect the larger picture and can create compound problems. But yeah, and I did not mean to shame anybody who does not know that this, that this exists. But
we welcome all levels of PPC here.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, it wasn't that big of a deal in the old interface. You kind of like, it was, a separate little thing. But now, gosh, I even think it was just like a little link, like in your campaign.
It was hard to find and it was hard to navigate.
Yeah, it was just like a little link, and now it's in the left-hand navigation for your change history. You can kind of see it. There's lots of different things you can filter by. You can look at who made the change. You can filter by dates. You can filter by types of change, and it goes down a million different levels. So you can really kind of hone in on, like, what did I do? And sometimes it's not even like that you intentionally did something. You could have switched to setting when uploading some changes.
Or if you set up an automatic bid rule that you like forget about, and you're like, oh yeah, this rule has been running, changing my bids every week for 6 months, like what is happening? Just keep a good pulse on it. And like in this screenshot here, that middle change is ad suggestions. I'm guessing that's Google's automatic implementing ads.
Interesting.
In your account, so also be aware of that. And it says changes can't be undone, which is a little unfortunate.
Yeah. So like I said, once again, with everything that has been kind of rolling out in the ad copy world this past year, that is something that we are seeing more and more, where Google is providing suggestions for ads, creating automatically generated ads, and the reporting isn't quite there yet on those. It hasn't caught up to
Please,
all of
Google,
that.
if you're watching, please give us better reporting.
Better insight into those things. But yeah, like, I mean, I've seen that several times in accounts now where it's like, where did this ad come from? Like, well, I don't remember creating this ad,
Did I write this?
Yeah, like, this doesn't sound like me. It doesn't have enough puns in it. So this is a great way to kind of see what's going on here and get a good view. So yeah. So today we have featured the date range comparison tool, the PPC Scrutineer, and I don't actually think the quality score creep is the official title.
It's not, but I like it. I think we should change it actually, because I like that better.
Yeah, I think it's just quality score analysis, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like boring.
It says something. I think
quality score creep is way better.
I think quality score creep is where we need to change it to. But here's the deal. Tell us what you want. So if you've tuned into this, we would like to share with you one of these tools. And if you go to the next here, the two tools that we would like to share, we'll share one of them with you, would be the PPC Scrutineer or the Quality Score Creep. So here's where you need to do a little bit of work. Tweet at us, use Hannafin and Think PPC, and tell us of those tools, which would be more useful to you. You can even tell us a little blurb of a story of why it would be useful to you.
Or if there's some tool that we didn't talk about that you're like, this would be really cool if it did exist, it doesn't exist yet. Let us know that too. We love to hear that stuff. Yeah, those have become like our little brainchilds where we're just like, okay, how do we create this? How do we, how can we slice this data? And unfortunately, unlimited supply of Eggo waffles is not an option. We almost ate waffles during this webinar, so
that's eating and talking. That really doesn't.
I don't think you guys would have liked that.
We can barely talk and talk at the same time. So, yeah, let us know what you want to see. We'd be so happy to share one of these with you.
We want to hear your thoughts.
The reason the date range comparison tool is not available is we use Supermetrics for a lot of our tools, and which is great. A little plug for Supermetrics there.
Yeah, and if you use Supermetrics and you love it, let us know too.
Yeah, but the amount of data that it actually pulls, it is a lot. It's a big, hefty tool that would require a little bit more intensive setup on your part in order to. So we want to give you some things that you can actually just hit the ground running with without much tweaking or setup there.
Yeah.
So,
and maybe someday we'll do a kind of more streamlined version of the date range comparison tool.
I think it's in our future.
If we can work that out. But
yeah, I definitely think it's in our future. So let us know. We'd love to hear from you. And
thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
This was fun for us.
Yeah, and we'll leave you with it.
From our good friend Jim Hopper.
Would you like to read it there?
Nothing is going to go back to the way that it was. Not really. But it'll get better in time.
And I think that's really good to remember when you are working with your PPC accounts if something does go
a little bit sideways or upside down.
Or all the way upside down. That it's going to be okay. Deep breaths. You're going to get it back on track. You're going to be able to make the changes. You're going to be able to see what went wrong, and you're going to get it back. It may not be exactly what it was before, but that's just because, again, we are not operating in a void, and that there's a million different things that are happening in the environment and advertising and things like that. So, but it is going to get better. Give it time. You can do it. And finally, what am I missing here? We are missing. Did we do everything?
I think that's it.
I think that's it. So if you are interested in hearing more about Hannafin's services, we can work with you. And so if you spend $15,000 or more per month in PPC and want a preview of what we can offer you, let us know. One of Hannafin's experts looks into your account. It could be Rachel.
It might be me.
And
compares
the structure and results to industry standards. We do a pretty thorough job, and it can be all yours for free.
Free 99. You heard it, folks.
Yep. So let us know. Send us an email at info@hannafinmarketing.com. Thank you so much for joining us. We have fun doing these things.
There will be more episodes of Real Life PPC coming.
If you have a specific pop culture theme you'd like to see us.
Oh, yeah. Let us know. We have a whole list of ones that we're going to do, but let us know. We want to hear.
See? So, great. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Come again.
Bye.